welcome everybody. I hope this live is working, and if anybody hops on, send me a quick comment and let me know, because I love Facebook. I'm loving it more and more. That is a bit facetious, but it's not letting me hop on. Oh, there I am. I can see on my computer now. Live from my computer. So here we are. Hey, what's up, Jeremy, Elizabeth? Hey, girl. How's Texas? Kaylin, Susie. Hi, guys. So I figured it out. So win there. Thanks, everybody, for jumping on today. I am really excited to be here. I apologize. I've kind of... if you hopefully can hear me okay, my setup's a little bit different than usual because of the way the family is working today in the house, and that's Cooper that's just crawling by. So I'm sure all of you guys who are on can appreciate that. We're just, scooting by the best we can here, all hands on deck as a family. Probably will hear my dogs in the background too. I think it's just such an appropriate conversation to have, because I wanted to talk with you guys today about some questions that I've been getting in real life from clients about managing their teams who are at home. And look, I work from home normally, so yeah, my setup is a little bit messed up, but I definitely know how to manage my time from a home office, whereas people who are in an office every day, that is a completely different dynamic. And so I have clients who are like, what the heck? I don't know what my team's doing. And my first response to that is, you are lucky that you have a team that is still in place and working for you, and we can work together to make sure that they are productive and profitable during this time at home. And so I put together quickly what started out on some sticky notes, and I'm going to type this up for you guys, a little bit janky, and put it in the tribe here in the group. But basically wanted to go over, how can you as a business leader keep your team productive while they're working from home? And it's really going to come down to communication. And so I put together 5 main accountabilities that you can address and refer to as you're looking to build in new systems for your team when they're working from home. So we'll just give a minute for other people, anybody else who's coming on. I want to let you guys know that this Tuesday at 12 p.m. Pacific time is going to be our regular go-to live time. I will, though, be streaming live next week for our 5-day boot camp. And if you are in the Facebook group, Haley and Shannon on the back end are automatically, as long as we have your email address, subscribing you for the boot camp. So be on the lookout for an email with your workbook and then the link on how to log in. So we're going to have a Zoom call and live stream to Facebook. So you'll really be able to take advantage of all those trainings. I told you guys, get your wristbands and your Gatorade, because we are going for it 5 days next week. So that is a free training. If you know somebody who should be in this group, please invite them and let them know. Again, this is the tribe of fierce aesthetic leaders, so they have to fit the mold. They want to train for their business like an athlete would train for their sport. They're positive and energetic and motivated to make big leaps in their business. And they want to be around other people who are going to collaborate and come up with solutions to move through this pandemic and emerge through the new economy with more momentum, more energy, and at a scale that they didn't even have before. And that's really going to take looking at the new future in our industry as new. So if you're sitting here waiting, and you probably know some people waiting for this, to get back to normal, there is no normal. There is only the new normal. And for how long we'll be working from home and we'll be in isolation, we don't know. I'm confident that it's not going to last forever, but I'm also confident that if you are not taking advantage of this time and seeing the opportunity and making sure that you are stepping on the gas pedal and really leaning into moving your business in a direction that is adding value for your patients right now, that you're missing out. And so I do want to help you through that process. And if you have employees on your payroll right now, they should be earning a profit for your business. And I understand the concern of not being able to keep an eye on them. And so I put together these 5 really specific strategies from an accountability standpoint to manage team from working from home. If anybody has any questions, I will do my best to, it looks like I can see some comments in there today. Woo! Win. Okay, so number 1, does everybody have a clear role? And I know that sounds kind of stupid, like, well, yeah, obviously she's my cosmetic coordinator, she answers the phone for me, she's my MA, but I mean a clear new role that is for what they're doing while they're working from home. So what is their job right now? And so really, as we're pivoting our business and we're seeing, a different logistics and methodology of how we're communicating. Maybe you're having some telecommunication with patients. Maybe you're starting up an e-commerce site. Who on your team is capable of pitching in and supporting the business as it's pivoting? And what should each person be doing? It usually does take about 5 to 10 days, I found, to adjust to a new environment. Some maybe 2 weeks. But once your employees have got their setup, so maybe they need, their new computer or printer, or they need a space to work. They're probably, if they're a normal human, have somebody else in their house. If they're a mom, they have kids that they're trying to manage from home. And so I'm always trying to be sensitive of that. Obviously, I'm one of those people. But once they're settled in and you've helped them adjust to their new work living space, then how are they supposed to handle their work? And this should be clearly defined, what their job is and how they're supposed to handle working from home. So are there certain times that they should be working? What are your expectations? Where are the communications of their activities being housed? So if you have a Google Drive, for example, are you putting your stuff in there? Are they updating and communicating with you as they go? That should all be clearly communicated as you're setting up that business from home. Also, how are they supposed to communicate? Is it constant by email? Are you guys going to be on the phone? This kind of seems like, elementary, but there are things that could potentially be assumed, or you may yourself be figuring out how to manage this as you're going along. And so make sure that you're constantly having check-ins with them on how that communication should happen. Okay, so number 2 is clear measurables. So what are the new performance indicators? So for example, some clients of mine have staff who are at home making phone calls. How many phone calls a day? How many texts? How many emails? Or if they're on Instagram, how many, communications are they having? So these should be clearly defined. So performance indicators, which are going to be different than they are when they're in the office. It's just a different setup. And then what are their goals? So once they hit them, what kind of like shifting, how many they're supposed to have, what are the results that they're supposed to get from what they're doing, and how many of each one. And then finally, how will they be assessed? So how are you going to know? And I think that's the biggest question that I get is, how do I know what's happening or what they're doing? Well, the answer is, go back to number 1, make sure the role is clear and that you have a database of where all of that communication is happening. And then number 2, clear measurables, right? And then how assess is to decide, send me the results, show me what you did, have some sort of measurement system in place so that you can determine whether they achieved that metric or not. Okay. Number 3 is, what is the deadline? I see this missed so many times that an employer will ask the employee to have everything in place, know their role, know their metrics, but then they don't know when it's due, right? Like, go get that project, Susie, and Susie's like, okay, cool, and doesn't turn it in at a certain time, and then, my client will be frustrated. And so I answer that question for them by when, right? So I always like to, with a team member, ask, what obstacles are you anticipating? I'd like this by the end of the week. Do you foresee anything's getting in the way of you being able to achieve that goal? And if they answer yes, then, it's just opening up collaboration. And then ask, how will you handle that? So if I'm asking you to make 10 calls and you think that you're not going to be able to make 10 because of a timing issue you have or something like that, then we can talk through it. But at least that communication is open, and that prevents frustration and confusion. Okay. Number 4 is behavioral expectations. So things are very different now. And I joke, like, I'm messaging people on Instagram, like, actually I get messages. Just yesterday someone said, "Hey Kaeli, I see that I posted a funny story of me like sitting in my suit, of course, like, I'm in jeans on the bottom, but like my suit top." And she said, "Do you have slippers on?" And the reality is, a lot of us, when we come home, we were used to getting out of our work clothes to come home. That was like the safe place where we got to not have to work. And so make sure that you're clear from a behavioral standpoint on, if you're getting on a Zoom call or however you're communicating, how do you want them to show up for you for the call? Is it important to you? Should they be dressed? Because if they show up just disheveled out of bed, maybe you're going to get the feeling like they're not taking their work seriously and that they're committed, and which I fully understand. When an employee is being paid, you want to make sure that they show up and look and feel their best as a representation, a reflection of the business. And also being on time. Just because we're home, does that mean that we can be more casual about our time? Are there dedicated hours to work? So what kind of behaviors do you expect of your employee? Number 5 is really, really important, and this is the feedback loop. So this is how you're getting the communication can't just go one way. It needs to come back. And so, how are things going? And I would say really to increase your face-to-face communication with your employees right now, because they're feeling at home, they're feeling isolated, they're probably feeling scared and unsure and uncertain about the future of the business, just like you are, and their position and their role, and also what it means, just facing from a personal standpoint, all of the things related to this pandemic. And also new updates every week, right? So like one employee could feel like completely confident and excited and energetic about the state of the union one week, and then something happens where they know somebody who's been impacted by the COVID-19 virus, or their husband is laid off, or other things that are impacting. I know just week to week, we're getting more and more communication about the kids being out of school, and it keeps getting pushed and pushed and pushed, and now there's no school year, right? If someone had told me that the first week that the kids were off, I probably would have lost my mind and jumped off of the second story of the house, because I couldn't have handled that. So I think we're all going through this process on our own timeline, and it's going to be important as a leader of your business to be keeping a pulse on that for your employees. And the best way to do that is to have that feedback loop. So I would recommend one-on-one meetings every single week, and I would increase face-to-face as much as possible, to see them, to kind of feel their energy and get a good indicator if there are some gaps that you need to quickly identify. Sometimes when we're behind a text message or an email, it's hard to communicate, without seeing a facial expression or really feeling the energy in someone's voice. If there's personal issues, or if the trains are about to fall off the track, you can address that with them, and, see those blind spots before they come at you. So, really quick, I'll recap. So those top 5 accountability metrics for managing employees from home. Number 1, make sure everybody has a clear role. Number 2, make sure there are clear measurables. Number 3, have a deadline and open up communication about that deadline and why it is, and if there will be any kind of obstacles in the way to accomplishing that. Number 4, behavioral expectations. How should they be showing up? Should they be on time? What do you expect from them as an employee while they're working from home? And then number 5, the feedback loop. So increasing communication. So I'm gonna check real quick and see if we have Lindsay, Cynthia, Bianca. Hi guys. I don't see any questions. So I will type this up and also add this video into the unit section for survival. Unit 1 is survival strategies through this pandemic, and I've got a bunch of great resources in there. If you haven't been in there, there's a business guide for really just a checklist for keeping your team accountable and productive during this time, and also some ways to really step on the gas pedal with regard to educating and adding value for patients. There is an interview that I did with an accountant regarding stimulus and other ways to manage cash flow during this time. There's a lot of other great videos and resources and tools in there. I hope you take advantage of that. And I am working literally on my team behind the scenes at all hours of the day and night, preparing for our free 5-day boot camp next week. You guys, this is going to be the most information. I promise you, I'm working on a workbook, and you will take so many notes you won't remember anything that we talked about, but you'll have it all there. I'm really putting my heart and soul into this, and I'm happy to do it and excited to have you guys all on board. So I'll just repeat for those of you who weren't here at the beginning of the call, a couple housekeeping items. One regarding the boot camp. If you are a Facebook group member and we do have your email address, we're going to go ahead and automatically subscribe you, register you for the boot camp. So be on the lookout for an email this week with your Zoom link, and also information about how to access the workbook. If you have any questions, you can DM me or Haley. She is the community manager. If you haven't had a chance to meet her yet, she's usually back in the DMs, messaging people and keeping everything on track and organized for us in the group. And then finally, if you do have friends and colleagues that would be appropriate for our group, please invite them. Make sure that they do answer the questions. We want to invite everybody who is the right fit for this group, and the only way to keep that integrity high without and be able to produce all these great tools for you and resources that are specific to your needs is to make sure that we have the right people in the group. And so they need to be answering those questions, and that's how we can keep this free. So if anybody has any suggestions or recommendations or requests about what they would like to talk about, I am planning to hop on every Tuesday at noon for our live strategy advisory sessions, and the topics that I bring are really going to be on the pulse week by week based on where there is demand for resources. And I will plan to see you guys next week, though not Tuesday, on Monday at 9 a.m. in the boot camp. And if you have any other questions, let me know. Otherwise, I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of your Tuesday and a great week, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.